Nagmi-milking na sila?
Opo,
I-cover muna na. Sige, ano na natin.
Gusto mo bang matuto ng agribusiness, crops, livestock and poultry, aquaculture, at ma-inspire sa mga success stories? Agribusiness, how it works. As a YouTube channel, Agribusiness features entrepreneurs, farmers, organizations, OFWs, investors. However, beyond our usual content and official endorsements, Agribusiness does not engage in other business dealings with them. While our viewers and featured individuals and entities may choose to pursue business deals with each other on their own, we encourage them to be cautious in doing so.
So, sir, this is Chris Macintosh.
Hello, buddy.
His name is Buddy.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Very nice facility, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice spot.
Impressive.
Yes.
Impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a great job.
It's my first time to see this kind of setup.
Actually, this is the first in the Philippines.
Yes.
For a swing.
Yes, that's
swing
right.
arm,
For a
yeah.
proper swing, that's
Yeah.
right.
Oh. Sir, introduce muna.
Hello, I'm Revin Mendoza, and I'm the country representative for Dairy Pro. And we've been in the business for almost 5 years in the Philippines.
Okay.
And our specialty is barn designs, milking parlor, and we provide technologies for dairy farming.
So, andito pa rin tayo sa loob ng Orchard Valley. So, isa ito sa technology na ginagamit nila dito sa farm.
Yes.
Tama, sir?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what you're seeing behind me is we call this a swing 10 milking parlor. Kaibahan niya sa ibang milking parlor ay ito ay modern na at ito ay ang ginagamit din na milking parlor sa ibang bansa. So, ang isa sa main na kaibahan niya sa mga regular na milking parlor sa Pilipinas ay meron na itong kasamang detachers. So, ibig sabihin kapag nakakabit ang cluster mo sa baka at na-detect ng sensor na wala ng gatas na bumababa, automatic siyang nagre-retract. So, nape-prevent natin yung over-milking.
Oh, I see. Alright, so with me is Chris Macintosh.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And from Dairy Pro Canada. Is that so?
And Philippines. I travel here to work with Rev too. But I live in Canada, that's true.
Oh, I see. Can you discuss about the technology you brought from Canada to the Philippines?
Sure. Some of this technology is, we don't just draw from Canada. Our experience is a lot based, obviously,
Okay.
in Canada and the U.S., but the technology is pretty global now for dairy equipment. So this equipment is mostly European
Okay.
based. And basically, it's taken the old approach of having long milk hoses without any control traveling up to a milk line and controlling it in through a path and making sure that the path of the milk is consistent basically, and the pulsation is consistent, the vacuum is consistent, everything is just much more consistent is the best word. Animals, they just need everything to be the same, every milking all the time. But control with the digital display ensures that the unit comes off consistently when she's done. And then obviously the pulsation is the actual milking collapse.
Is this the first setup in the Philippines?
This is the first of a modern swing. This is called the swing parlor, and it's the first one in the Philippines, yes.
Wow.
But there'll be many more of them because they're affordable and still very healthy for the udders and quick milking too. It allows people to milk a lot of cows in a short period of time. Yeah, they're a really good fit for the Filipino dairy business, and in North America too. They're all over the planet, but every market has something that works best, and this will be very common for sure. just because they're budget friendly. They're not overpriced.
Okay.
They're not as cheap as just having a hose dangled, but obviously they also don't. They perform a lot better. The
How
animal
fast is
performance.
the milking?
Typically, people will expect 4 turns to 5 turns an hour. So this is a double 10. So that means 20 animals times 4 or 20 animals times 5. So 80 to 100 animals milked per hour.
Wow.
So quick. You have 10 clusters instead of 20 because you get to move them from side to side.
So right now, this is another batch of cow.
Yes. Yeah, so they'll bring 10 or 12, whatever fits. These parlors are flexible. If you have a smaller animal and one animal goes in extra, then you just, when the unit's done, you move it over and milk that extra animal. Very encouraging here, all this clapping. It's very moral. They definitely are gentle with their animals. It's good to see.
All right.
Really important.
Can we discuss the process?
First,
Can we go down? No.
Once they're loaded in, we can, yes.
Okay.
We'll just kind of stand at this end so we don't disrupt them.
Oh, all right.
Or he could go in with the camera. If that's, we can stand here. That would be less probably disruptive, but he can still, I can still explain it once they get started. Just because we're strangers, right? They know these people. The cows know these people. They just don't know us. They're very quiet animals, but they're a prey species, and prey species means they're on the bottom of the food chain, right? So they're always cautious because they know that they don't eat anybody. They always get eaten.
So you train also the staff?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's actually really important. We've talked a little bit about today. They just started a few days ago, obviously, but yeah, the routine is really important. It makes a big difference. On the cow udder health as well as on the efficiency as far as the time required to get work done. But the cows are also still learning because it takes them a few weeks to figure out how they're supposed to walk in, and then they walk in very quickly and easily. But this is day 3 or 4. It's just they're still very new at it. But they are figuring it out. Every milking gets better. So the cows are doing really well. It's just, that's why you see some of them confused, is they just haven't done it enough to really know exactly what to do yet. But that's also why they're being careful and quiet with them, is they learn better when a farmer treats them gently. There's nothing wrong with pushing them or a tap on the bum. It's just nothing pain related, right? Just nothing that would actually hurt them.
They're still adjusting.
Yes. No, they're doing well. They really are. There's nothing wrong with what's happening here. They're treating the cows well.
The actual milking, how many minutes it will take per cow?
It all depends on the production level, but basically the assumption is it's 10 to 12 minutes from the time they walk in till the time they walk out. And the milk harvesting time, how long the cluster is on, does depend on her production, but it's roughly 6 minutes.
Is there a tendency that they can harvest more by using this kind of machine?
Yeah, for a couple reasons. So one is a milk machine harvests, it doesn't make milk, right? So it is important that they feed the animals well. The animals are comfortable, kept cool. They lay down and rest because that's when their blood flows through the udder and creates the milk. So all of that has to happen for milk to get in the udder. The problem is if you have improper milking equipment that harms the udder during the milking, during the harvesting, then that affects her potential.
All right.
So basically, everything we do on this part of the barn is to harvest good quality milk, for one, right? It needs to be kept clean, and all this system needs to be easy to wash and free of bacteria. And secondly, obviously the time required, right? Because there's only so much time in a day. And then third is to make sure we don't harm the mammary system at all. So the vacuum level, like I mentioned, everything needs to be set properly and every milking be that way, be consistent.
Okay, I think they're complete.
Yeah, so now you'll notice as soon as he drops that gate, this last cow is obviously a nervous girl.
So they must be compact.
Yes, yes.
Why? What's the principle behind it?
Because when they have space, nervous cows can get themselves into trouble. When they're all relaxed, it's fine, but the truth is they will have young 2-year-old heifers that will have a calf and then come in and need to be milked. So having everybody not uncomfortably snug, but snug enough that they can't move around and get into trouble will mean the new girls in the group will be fine, because they'll have a place to stand and not be able to get somewhere else. So now that's done.
All right.
The first step is they do is a cleaning step.
Cleaning the
Udder.
The udder.
The teeth, sorry. This side has already been cleaned. He's just checking. There must be an animal that didn't milk out 100%. So they're just going to put it on and get the rest of the milk.
All right.
That's this side is just cleaning up. Otherwise, these girls will be ready to go. And then they'll grab their towels and their water. And their first step is they wash. Now these cows are quite clean because it's a new facility with proper stalls. But he's just checking if anyone's really dirty. Nice clean cows. Yeah, now they're inspecting for cleanliness. She's training the staff a little bit too at the same time, which is fine. That little dip cup has iodine that's designed for teeth for sanitizing
milking.
Before and after.
Before and after.
So they'll right now he's cleaning an animal that's a little dirty, and then dip. They do each teat basically gets dipped to be sterilized, and they wipe it off. So one is that sanitizes and gets the teat clean, right, which allows the milk to stay clean. And the second is it stimulates the cow. So that triggers her brain to release oxytocin. Oxytocin goes into all the little vessels in her udder and contracts, triggers the muscles and squeezes all the milk. It's like a sponge. Basically, it squeezes the milk out of the sponge and it drops down into the bottom of the udder. And then the cluster has enough vacuum to open up the end of the teat and draw the milk out. But the first step is the cow's brain sending the oxytocin into the bloodstream, which will trigger all those little muscles around the milk cells to contract.
It's just normal. They pee or they poops.
When they're nervous, yes. Once they've been in the parlor for a few months, or a few weeks even, not months, then it's rare that they pee and poo. But they're doing it now because they're nervous and it just triggers that. And that is normal for a new facility when cows are learning. But yeah, it becomes quite rare after, but you just have to put up with it during the early days.
So before you set up this milking facility, what they're using?
They were using buckets, like a bucket with a cluster, and they were using it over at the feed front and just manually milking the animals over there, which they had to do until the parlor was ready to go because the cows came earlier. Or started calving earlier. You don't milk an animal until she has a baby calf. That's what triggers the milk production, just like in a human. Now he puts the cluster on.
Okay.
Have you fellas seen milking facilities, modern milking facilities before?
Not this modern. So can you consider this as commercial level?
This is
Not
definitely
yet.
commercial level.
All right.
We have larger scale facilities that are designed to milk more animals per hour with higher levels of automation, like management systems that record literally 50 data points every time an animal shows up in the parlor. Like remarkable amount of detail. But that is helpful for larger herds, say a 250 to 500 or 600 head or 1,000 head herd. At this size, they know the animals as individuals more just because there's not as many cows, not as many numbers, so you don't require that level of data and that level of automation. But the next step above this is a meter that measures it right down to the milliliter, times it. This meter also measures the conductivity, measures the salt content of the milk to indicate if she's dealing with an infection. But there's just higher level accuracy units for larger herds and automatic identification where they know we installed the facility and we have one more to install in Mindanao and Claveria area, and it IDs the animals as they walk into the parlor and knows exactly which cows in which stall.
So 100% no contamination of the milk.
Yeah, so basically the milk is in the line, travels back to the receiver, transferred directly over to storage, yes. And then from here it's transferred directly to their storage. Some farms put it directly into small tanks, right, that go to the processors. Others will do bulk storage. When this is finished being set up, it will be using bulk storage as well. It's just, that's part of their changeover basically, but that's what this farm will be. It'll have bulk cooled storage on site. You can see the little slugs going up the hose there. So that's drawing out whatever milk the cow has produced that is dropped to the bottom of her udder. And then it goes up through a milk meter, which is why the display is showing there to give an estimate on the production level, and then from there it travels down the stainless line into the stainless receiver.
How many cows they have?
They're currently milking around the 20 mark now, and they're set up initially to milk 30, but they've quickly realized this parlor is being underutilized, so they are going to purchase some more animals and grow, I think, very quickly to 60 and then to 100. But first they'll spend a few weeks getting comfortable with everything before starting any more animals. Walk before you run.
This setup, how expensive?
It's a fair question. We did all of the components in the barn. So just to break out this on its own, 2.5 to 3 million pesos for this milking center.
Okay.
Yes, milking center and milk storage.
Including the milk storage?
Yes. But depending on what they do with the automation level, yeah, it's difficult to get below 2, truthfully. It's a challenge, but then you start giving up the things that create the consistency and the quality, so it's tough. It's tough to get it much below that number. And there comes a point where it's better to spend nothing and then wait till you can afford to get the proper end result, right? So if they're milking with buckets, just stay with what you have until you can afford to do this properly. Because if you don't do this properly, you still haven't gained honest ground, right? So it's just better to wait until you can borrow the money to take the step properly.
So once the milk is inside, what's the next procedure?
Then they cool it and transfer it to the milk processing plant. And basically pasteurize it and flavor it, package it, you know, yogurts, milk, ice cream.
Once the milk is collected, then they will bring it immediately to the processing plant.
Yeah, they'll cool the milk to about 3 degrees Celsius, 2.5 to 3 degrees Celsius here.
Okay.
That's when it's finished. That's why they spent the money on the large cooling tank. Normally in the Philippines, not normally, but yeah, the majority of farms are transporting milk that's not fully cooled, not down to that 3, and you get much better quality because when the milk's cold, the bacteria don't grow. So it's just best to do a full cooling before transportation. But he has a processing close by, which obviously is best for milk quality because then it doesn't travel far.
So you've been in this kind of business for how long already?
Since I was 17. Since I was 17, so I'm 53 now, so yeah, 35 years. Yeah, it's all I've done. And different roles, obviously, but always in the milk harvesting industry and automation industry. Milk, like dairy automation.
So everybody's adjusting, the cow, the farm workers.
Yeah, and they're doing well.
Everybody's adjusting to the new technology.
That's right. It just takes time and patience, but they're doing great. There's fundamentals. The fundamentals are, you know, the cows need to be cared for properly because that is the start of everything. You know, nothing will work if that's not done. And then obviously the management of cleanliness and attention to details. And Orchard Valley definitely does pay attention to details, and they definitely care for their animals very well. They'll do very well. They've already proven that.
So what do you think about the dairy industry in the Philippines right now, as an observer?
We've been observing it for about 5 years. That's when we started here. So it has come a long way, like a great deal. This facility is a testament. If you saw new dairy structures, facilities in different parts of the world, modern new builds, you would see this is very similar in a similar climate scenario. Obviously colder climates, they construct differently. But no, this dairy facility is got really unlimited potential. They did it right. The rest of the dairy in the Philippines is just a learning curve. The truth is, things had been done for a long time the same way, expecting different results, and that doesn't happen, right? Unless you change your actions and your behaviors and your efforts, you'll end up with the same results. So this is a sign of change, and they're already seeing higher production in just a matter of a week than many dairies have seen in a matter of years that have been milking cows.
This facility is an eye-opener for the Filipino farmers.
For sure. And there's been others that we've done over the years, but every facility, but every year there's multiple facilities that have adopted more, and because a lot of it's a leap of faith. You know, 5 or 6 years ago, I did a chat at a summit similar to what I'm doing this week, and showed pictures of these places and tried to convince people that there would be a reward for taking animals off hard concrete floors, and that was the case. Cows were just laying down in old pig barns, basically, on hard concrete, and they didn't have comfort, they didn't have air cooling, they didn't have fans or sprinklers to cool them, they weren't on a soft, clean bed, they weren't being milked with equipment that was consistent, you know, vacuum levels, pulsation, all of that. It wasn't because of any malicious intent, it was just lack of understanding. We all only know what we know, right? We grow up in a country and we learn from our parents, and that's just the way it is. So now people are seeing the reality of what can be done and the results that it yields. So every year we see faster change on people building new facilities. They're not doing it the same as they did in the past.
You think how many years more to take for the Philippines to catch up?
The fundamentals, probably about 10 years.
Wow, 10 years.
Because it's a real leap of faith. You know, they have to spend millions of pesos up front and believe that it's a right place to put the money.
Yeah.
So that just doesn't happen quickly, right? Many farms like Orchard Valley, Johnny, the owner, he is a visionary, so he believed it. You know, we talked about it, but he could see that it made sense, and he took the risk, and he's reaping the rewards. Other people need someone else. They need a fellow Filipino to make it the change and prove that it can be done, and then they're comfortable making the change, right? So that's why it takes some years, and some just, it's a business reality that this year, next year, and the year after, they still can't afford it based on other things they've invested in. So it just takes some years before they're in a financial position ready to build a new facility.
Yeah.
So they work with what they have until that time, which is understandable.
If they're going to adopt this kind of technology, how many years or months for them to recover the investment?
The rule of thumb is it takes 7 to 10 years for sure. It doesn't happen in you know, there's unique cases where there's some particular niche market they're filling where their profits would do it faster, but no, it is a long-term investment. But this facility will live for decades, right? It's not this equipment doesn't degrade and isn't done in garbage in 10 years. This in 15, 20 years they'll still be using these components. They may use newer technology because technology is always improving, but the parlor components, the swing components, all of that stuff stays the same. All of the cow housing, the stalls, even those comfort mattresses last 15 years. They last a long time. It's a long-term investment, but it's a long life investment too, fortunately. And he did build well. This barn will be here many, many years, as many as they need.
How important is the barn so that you can get a good production of milk?
It's 80% of the reality, because like I mentioned, this facility harvests the milk, it doesn't make the milk.
Yeah.
So the cow makes the milk by, one, being healthy, not being stressed, not having a body that's dealing with heat stress or discomfort, because that all distracts from producing milk. The same for you or I. If we're in a place where our body feels like it's under stress, the last thing it's going to do is produce extra of anything outside of the survival, right? It looks at surviving.
Yeah.
So cows are no different. If we put them in an environment that's hot and humid and uncomfortable and full of pain, like laying on concrete is always a pain trigger. They're always hot and they're being bitten by flies and there's bacteria because it's dirty and there's udders being infected and they're dealing with immune system trying to fight infections coming in from the teat end. All of that stuff distracts the body from a desire and comfort level to produce milk. So it is extremely crucial that they build a shelter that, one, is a shelter that protects them from the sun and the rain. Both are too much for an animal to handle. Two is they allow a comfortable spot and a clean and dry spot for them to rest, which these guys have done beautifully. That mattress is ridiculously well engineered for a cow, including high density foam and crumb based mattress. And then three is they've got to cool them. Sprinkle water on them at the feed front, and then when they go to lay down, the fast moving air evaporates that water and pulls BTU, British Heat Units, pulls a ton of heat out of their body. And that takes them from a stress mentality down to a relaxed mentality. And then the body says, hey, I'm good, let's produce milk. Because that's what a cow DNA wants to do after it calves. It wants to produce milk.
Can we go in the barn so that they can show to us the different features of the house?
Sure. So if you want a video in this area, this will cover a lot of what we were discussing. So basically we'll start with the beginning of the process, which is intake. So quality forages, because a cow's stomach is designed to digest forage, grasses, corn silage, and then they're sprinkling on top a product which is a mix, but basically that's the energy and protein that they give out in the milk, so you always have to replenish it. So crucial step one is quality feed, and that's improving in this, and that has room to improve, but it's also come a long way, but it will change again. If you happen to be in the blogging business 5 years from now and you'll look at what a feed bunk looks, it will look different than what you see here. But that's okay, that's part of the process of them developing, like farms developing. So right now you can see the sprinkler is happening. That runs every couple minutes and just puts large water droplets on their back. And then basically when they are done eating and they go to rest at the stall, they'll have a drink of water and then they go to rest at the stall, the fast moving air from those blast fans up above, which are every 12 meters, they will move air over the back, evaporate the moisture off the cow and take a ton of heat out of her body at the same time. Because animals, we just need to remove the heat stress. The Philippines is a unique market for heat, right? There's others similar, southern states, Florida, obviously Arab markets. There's other parts of the world that deal with, intense heat as well. But every market, including this one, you have to address it. You cannot put an animal in a facility without, the sprinklers are affordable and they really should be standard, but these fans over the cow platform where they're resting is not an option. It just has to be there. If you look at these animals' stomachs, you'll notice that they're not going out and in and out and in and bouncing, and that is simply because of the heat stress control. Otherwise they would be panting basically, and like I mentioned, they won't be focused on making milk if they're focused on survival. So we just have to get the stress down so that they're relaxed and enjoying their life, and then they produce milk.
The feed is just in the floor? There's no feeder, something like that?
No, that's right. That's on purpose. So the floor is flat, but it's 12 centimeters higher than where she stands.
All right.
And that's important because when they're in the field, they spread their feet and then they graze the grass about, maybe whatever, say 3-4 centimeters above the dirt level. So if we didn't have this concrete elevated, it wouldn't be comfortable for them to eat. They wouldn't be able to reach the feed down on the base. So those dimensions are all really important. The height of the curb, this is a self-lock, so you can catch an animal.
This one?
Yeah, so basically, I won't scare her from eating, but if this is rotated around, that comes up and it will catch and keep her confined.
Oh, I see.
So it's a way if you need to treat her, trim her, do a pregnancy check, anything reproduction based, vaccination, all the things that you do to keep them healthy.
While they're eating.
They come up and eat, and then that is basically your chance to catch them. And this is typical cow behavior, thinking the feed that's 2 meters down from them is always the best. So the bossy ones just keep moving down and checking out to see if they're missing out on the good stuff. They eat, we cool them, they go lay down, and then their bodies, it's a different stomach than ours, but they lay down and then they regurgitate. Literally the feed comes back up and they chew it and pulverize it, and then it moves through their digestion. So that's why they talk about chewing the cud. It's very important for them to eat, go have a drink, and then lay down for hours. And it literally is 12 to 14 hours a day. We'd like them to just lay down and rest, which is why you have to provide a spot that's attractive for them to do that. This one's set up on 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. And they may widen that out a little bit and run it a little less. 2 minutes is kind of a standard software. But regardless, even if it's once every 3 or 4 minutes, the goal is
interval.
Yeah, it runs for 30 seconds every couple minutes.
Oh.
But it doesn't. It's every 5 minutes will be adequate for this size of facility.
During daytime. Just during the daytime.
Correct. That's correct. That's right. It has. You can see on the controller, it's bouncing around there, showing time, but it's showing 79 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's running based on temperature. So you can have it run at higher frequencies in hotter weather and lower frequencies. Again, the system just started up, so it's running on the default, but they will, I'll recommend that they adjust it out just so they don't use water. They're not buying water here. They cleverly have these storage tanks catching water off the eavesdrop, but either way, they don't need to make more water than they need to.
So the feeder, and then the
And they go and rest.
all right, the bed.
Yes, the bed.
What's the right term for that?
No, we do call them beds. We call them stalls, boxes in Europe. But a bed is actually, we refer to them as a bed many times, because that is genuinely what it is. It's a mattress with tubes that are stitched together with cut, crumbled, recycled tires. And then on top of that is a foam that a Belgian company makes for us that is designed for a cow's weight, and it can compress 10,000 times and only lose a centimeter of thickness. It's 1.5 inches thick, so what's 1.5 inches?
What's
45
what's
millimeters?
the effect for the cow?
She never has an impact. She drops and she has no pain, and then she rolls over and she has no pressure points to feel uncomfortable and get back up. She can just rest for hours, because they typically will do that, rest for a couple hours, then they'll get up and have a drink and eat, go back and rest. But we genuinely want them to rest for 12 to 14 hours a day.
How are you going to train them to go there to rest?
By making it comfortable. When we came in today, everybody was lying down. Cows figure out very quickly when you provide them a good spot to lay down, they figure it out extremely quickly. Of course, they'll come up when there's fresh feed put out, which is great. They need to eat. They just milked. But no, though, they've learned to use those stalls very quickly. Everybody, there's not one in here that was laying on the concrete. They all were comfortable and clean and dry. You can see the stalls. They're not mucky. Keeps the cows clean, keeps the udders clean.
And there's a, I noticed there's a
the dividers. Yeah, and they're designed for a whole bunch of reasons the way they are. So basically, you can see they're high up near the center. They taper back, which helps an animal turn when she's backing out. They go up high on the bottom as they come back, which stops her pins, those bones that you see on her hips, from hitting when she's lying down. And then the front drops down, and that just helps them know that they have to lay fairly straight, because when they lay straight, then the length of their body allows the crap to fall in the alley, not on the stall. So the odd time they will poop in the stall, but the vast majority, as you can see by the stall cleanliness, falls in the alley, because those stalls are designed in the mattresses and that PVC, you can see the plastic part at the front, that controls their brisket or their chest from laying up too far. Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts gone through those in the years, and they're just easy to get up, easy to lie down, and easy to stand up.
Is there a square meter requirement as a size for each cow?
Yeah, so it all depends on the breed, but this breed is typically 1.15 to 1.2 meters wide per stall. I say this breed because this is a crossbreed. This is half Holstein, half Jersey, with a local breed mixed in. But the point is, the vast majority of their animals are a Holstein Jersey cross, which is a small to medium sized stature.
And the big fans.
Yes.
Is that functioning for the whole day,
Yes.
even at night?
Yeah, well, they will shut down if it gets below 22 degrees Celsius.
Automatically, it
Yeah.
will shut down.
But in the Philippines and many times in the year, it never gets below 22. So we have to cool them all day long. And they all, that heat stress is part of milk production, but it's also part of reproduction. They won't reproduce, right? They won't ovulate and get pregnant with a young calf, which is key, right? We always need young animals coming through the system, growing up. So that fan is crucial for comfort, crucial for milk production, crucial for reproduction.
So it will make the barn on a lower temperature.
Basically, the air it's blowing will be the same, but
Uh-huh.
fast-moving air will cause evaporation of the moisture in the sweat and the sprinkled water, and the evaporation is what cools the animal.
Oh, I
that
see.
removes the heat. But yeah, it's still, there's no cooling of the air. It's just fast-moving air, which, as we know, on a hot day, a windy day, that's the same temperature, and a hot day with no wind, it's a drastic difference on a human body too.
Yeah.
And it's all that evaporating effect.
And what about the height of the ceiling?
Yes.
Is that important too?
Yeah, it can vary a little bit, but the sidewall needs to be large enough that air mass can move in. The warmth naturally goes up, convection, and then you have this covered opening at the top, so the warm air goes through the top, drawing fresh air. So that's not for cow cooling, that's just for quality of air, bringing new air into the barn always and sending the dirty air out. So yes,
What do you call that system?
This is called a ridge vent. So it's basically an open ridge,
Okay.
and then the side is literally just an open wall. So this structure
Open wall, yeah.
is for the Philippines is exactly what people can build over and over. Open wall. Make sure there's at least 3 to 4 meters of an open wall.
At the sides?
Yes. And then the ridge, it can vary a bit. This particular one looks like it's somewhere in that 1.5 to 2 meter range. And
Is that too high?
No, the height doesn't harm. The height, it depends on the engineering of the barn. This barn, it worked out well to have it that height. If it was a little bit lower, it would still function, but that extra height, as long as it doesn't add too much extra cost, right? Because your pillars have to be taller.
All right.
But other than that, there's really no added expense or reason not to. Air mass is helpful, right? The more air mass, the better quality of air, because you're always diluting whatever the dirty air is in a larger air mass.
And how many people managing this barn?
Usually, it's 2 people per 50 head.
For 50 head.
And but because of some of the dairies in the Philippines not having as many mechanical advantages, then it requires extra people. So the more mechanical advantage, the less people. Obviously, the less mechanical advantage, the more people. So here on this size of dairy, they typically would have somewhere in the 6 people range to take care of feeding and animal health.
Per 50 animals?
No, they have
For the whole
100 head here. Plus there's vegetables and
Yeah.
so they will have more than 6, including the vegetables are very high labor, right? At times of the year, obviously. Harvest time, they're extremely high labor.
Yeah. Okay. Chris, any message to our audience? What things they need to know? What things they need to adopt for the Philippines to
grow and succeed?
To grow and succeed, yes.
Basically, if you talk to your peers, if the dairymen in the Philippines talk to the peers that have made the changes, Orchard Valley is one, St. Marie is another. There's multiple dairies that are making changes. If they go out and talk to those people and see how the cows behave, and then just make sure they don't repeat past mistakes. If it's not time to build and it's not time to invest, that's okay. But when you do invest, don't do it unless you do it right.
Right.
Make sure the next time is right.
All right.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Chris.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thank you.
Agribusiness merch is now available on Shopee and Lazada. Agribusiness, how it works. Instruct, inspire, succeed.